course, every time I do that, start this YouTube Go Live thing, it swings me to the far right-hand side of my open tabs. And of course, my email is at the far left-hand side of these 100 and some open tabs. So going back to the other side to see if I have an email from her. So. And since I'm now not looking at Zoom, did you guys all get a message saying this is being recorded to Zoom? I mean, to YouTube?
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And oh, I have to close some tabs. I'm still scrolling through tabs. This is clearly more than 100. It might be 200. It's totally ridiculous. Anyway, we will really start once I see whether, what Elizabeth has to say, if anything, in the email. And, but I don't want to wait. I mean, it's 7 minutes after 8. So, and we should be done by now. So, also, maybe it's 300 open tabs. I have homework over this long weekend, apparently. And
what do you mean?
Well, if I have 300 open tabs, it can't possibly be anything I need, most of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I see nothing from Elizabeth, so we'll just start this meeting officially, and I will call it to order. I am not the chair. Marius is here. So call this meeting to order. I'm going to share the screen with the agenda.
Marius is coming.
Hmm?
Marius is signing on. Hello?
That's correct.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we have everyone except our chair. Anyway, meeting is called to order. I direct your attention to item number 1, which is the determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. And essentially, as long as there's the emergency, the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners has determined that meeting in person would present imminent risk to the health or safety of attendees. So this meeting is being conducted virtually pursuant to that directive. That, by the way, the governor has announced that from the state perspective, the emergency comes to an end on February 28th, unless something else happens. So we are likely to be starting to meet in person or in hybrid way, again, starting in March. Welcome, call to order, introduction, and review of the agenda. I know that I'm not sure that everybody knows everybody, so very quickly, I'm Laura Myers. I know everybody. I am on the UNNC board, and I'm the immediate past president, and I'm retaining a chunk of the task with, at the request of our new president. I'm still helping to coordinate the committee meeting. And if we can just quickly go around the room, Zoom room, Christina. But you have to unmute. Sorry.
There. Okay. I unmuted. Hi, I'm Christy Webb. I live on 4th Avenue, where there was a recent sighting of a coyote stalking people, I hear. And I am I'm a longtime member of the community in Waha, and trying to do more about our environment.
Charlie.
Very interested in composting, particularly. Thank you.
Now, Charlie.
I'm Charlie. I'm also a board member. And I live in Harvard Heights, Mount Hobart, and that's all. Thanks.
And Davina.
Hello, I'm Davina. I am a renter in Arlington Heights. I'm on 2nd Ave, and I've lived here for like 8 years and want to be involved more.
Okay, and Marius, I know you're there, although I'm not seeing you. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Mario Stelli. I lived in Jefferson Park all my life, and sorry, it's kind of dark in this room, so you wouldn't be able to see me much anyway. I remember how many lights I turn on. But yes, just here to find out what's going on, just stay ahead of it. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And hi. Okay, so on the agenda tonight are these are a lot of quick items, I think, except for, I mean, we'll just yak when we get to them, but a little discussion about other locations in addition to the Wellington Square Farmers Market for food scraps drop off, an initiative by LAUSD for more green spaces on campus throughout the city, throughout their district. The composting fall workshop series, bit on that. Christy's asked us to have a discussion about, you know, who do you call? Not Ghostbusters when there's environmental problems. We probably won't get to number 8, new business, if Alyssa come, and then a little follow-up to previous cases. The first thing would be public comment on anything that is not tonight's agenda. My first public comment is, Christy, do you have really good internet? Because I need to have a co-host in case I drop off.
Usually, yes.
Okay, so let me just, I'm gonna make you a co-host for no reason other than that.
Okay.
So my comment being our internet goes on and on. Okay, does anybody have a public comment on any item not on the agenda? Okay, so then the first item on the agenda that one of you requested, maybe it was Christy, is are there, besides the Wellington Square Farmers Market on Sunday, are there other places to drop off you know, your food scraps, right? And also I have a thing that's a quick reminder of what we can thing. So here I talked to the LA Compost Farmers Market, and they do have other locations. So these are not necessarily nearby, but then again, I don't know where you might be on a given day. So this document and the others tonight are all in the agenda packet. So Sundays, besides Wellington Square, which why would you go farther if they're in Atwater Village and Legion Valley? On Tuesdays, they're in Highland Park. Thursdays, the Central Avenue Farmers Market, which I believe is Central and Avenue. And Saturdays, which is nearby, the Crenshaw Farmers Market, which is at the Baldwin Hills Plaza. And that's that. But in addition, so again, you can download this document, or I'll put the link in the chat because I also have a it's actually right there.
It's on their website under Start Composting.
Okay.
Jump straight to farmers markets.
Okay, so
I guess if someone was looking for it and they just did a Google
right.
search of LA Compost, they would probably come up with
Right.
LA
And then,
Compost website, and then the
right, and or save the chat because that's the link. And there may be other people doing some of this. What I did want, I had also downloaded from the same place, and we've talked about this before, is what's accepted and what's not accepted for food scrap. So, no human or animal waste. No, at the moment, no meat or dairy, no compostable plastics, no bio bags, no produce stickers, no plastic of any sort. And then you can see egg shells, but only the shell, apparently not the egg. Give your egg, if you hard boil an egg and don't finish it, give it to the possums, I guess. Coffee grounds, tea bags, but not nylon bags, old flowers, fruits and vegetable scraps, green leaves and grass. And they also accept sawdust from untreated wood. That's hard to find though, untreated wood at this point. Dead leaves, leave that in your garden. Broken twigs, newspaper shredded, and mulch. So Christy, have you gone yet with your stuff to Wellington Square?
Yes, I thought I sent you a picture of myself, a selfie.
Oh,
I have to send you
I
a
don't
picture too.
know.
I've been going too. I have to send a picture. I have a big box for this weekend.
I sent it to, maybe I sent it to Elizabeth and not to you, Laura.
Well, if you had sent it to
every Sunday, I go every Sunday.
look, if you had sent it to this phone, I don't think I would have seen it anyway. So, so the thing is that what they're saying on the website, because they're saying more or less, if it's too icky, don't worry about it, because you can freeze your scraps and bring it to them frozen. So
I have a big thing in my freezer that I bring. It's like, when you buy like a Ziploc, or the Tupperware, and then it comes in like a big Tupperware that you don't know what to do with. I put that in my freezer because it has a handle on it, and I'm just filling that up every week and bringing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good tip.
Yeah. And it
Says the
fits like
girl
right
who
on the
has
shelf
no
real
freezer.
easy.
So
That's so much nicer too than like having it on the counter or something, because it really gets like so stinky and those little like flies. It's gross.
The
So
little
the
flies.
freezer.
the bugs,
Wow.
and I'm like, I don't want something like crawling out of the drain. Like I don't know.
We've had a hard
Yeah.
time with our compost. Like we just keep getting these gross big like maggots in it. And like it just doesn't seem like they're not the good kind of worms. And it's not the kind of compost, that's not the device where you would want worms in it. It's not that kind of anyway.
No, those are if they're maggots, they're from flies, right?
They must be, which is also gross because then I don't want them to turn into all the flies, because flies are so gross. So the whole thing has just not been a great, I don't know. And we tried because at first we had not put enough of the browns in. I think that was why the first time, but then this time it was almost like 90% like brown stuff and then just like the tiniest little bit of food. And then it still happened.
The freezer option is like so accessibly easy. I love it.
I mean, I'm more
Like,
tempted to do that and just take it to the farmer's market. It just is not working for us. So.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, if we all really start using the farmer's market, I think then we'll get overwhelmed, but maybe not. Maybe we'll need
they'll
a
just give
point.
us more options.
Right. Right. But I mean, we're lucky that we have any options. I mean, that's a Wellington Square. So the only thing I don't know is if at some point they're going to be coming and asking for funding from the local neighborhood councils, because some of their other sites have been funded by neighborhood councils.
They're aren't they technically in like the mid-city neighborhood council though?
Yeah, but
borders?
but UNNC has over the years done a lot of funding of that farmers market because after all, it's the one our people go to as well. But
Yeah.
what we had been funding with the music, because nobody's asked us to fund the compost, but it's also a new thing.
And what's the status of the city and composting? I mean, when are they going to give us another bin or
They're running a few pilot programs. I don't know why they didn't understand the due date. They seem to have started to think about pilot programs after the effective date of the new law. So whatever.
Yeah, it's weird because I've tried to look it up to see, because we used to, I guess, erroneously put all that stuff in the green bin, and then I learned here at this committee that was not what we were supposed to be doing. But then it sounded like they were changing it and that we were going to get to put all that stuff in the green bin. And then even at the compost workshop last time, the woman that ran it said like, yeah, you can put it in, but I had looked it up. I haven't looked it up since the compost workshop, but I had looked it up just recently before. And it was really clear, like, no, like, unless you're in the pilot program, you are not supposed to be putting that stuff in the
Right.
green bin, right? Okay.
Exactly. Well, apparently, because, I also went to the compost workshop. I'm not even supposed to be putting my like broccoli stems into the green. I
Oh,
do it
yeah,
anyway. I
no,
just chop
unless
them
it's
into
like,
very small pieces now. Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
saying if you grow the vegetable, you can put it in, but if you buy the vegetable, you're not supposed to. It makes no sense to me at all. It makes
broccoli
no
stems are
sense.
really good in a broccoli soup, though. If you just like cook them down with onion and vegetable broth and blend it, it's so yummy. I did that blend. It was like with a hand blender motion. But anyway, yummy, yummy.
Well, you're right. I mean, I always like the broccoli stems when I'm cooking a lot, but I'm not. I'm barely
hard.
managing to eat my broccoli crowns. Right? So, but anyway, yes. I mean, we learned a lot from the composting workshop, but I'm still not bringing my stuff to them. I'm trying. We do a little composting here where I'm sitting, and other than that, I'm just bad. To be blunt.
The last composting workshop actually made me want to do the worm composting, like and there's such pretty containers, and it just, I don't know, she just was so into it and like loved her little worms so much, and it was just like, oh, I could see like really like, I don't know, it just seems like I don't know, more like life cycle-y kind of way
The
to do
worms
it.
seem fun for kids too. No,
I think she would really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll
So
see.
so they got pretty. I came a little later, and it was rained out by the time I got there.
Yeah, it was kind of a quicker one because of the rain. But yeah, she brought the worm one this time, like the home worm one, and it was really cool. I feel like the worms before kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, but I feel like after seeing it, I was like, oh, I could do that. Maybe.
Well, and you'll document it if you do, right?
I'll see. I historically have not been the best documenter.
Right. Well, I think none of us have been. Okay. Is there anything else on food scraps? And I'm sorry, Chrissy, I just don't know the status of household composting in our trash. Just don't know.
Maybe I'll try to find out.
Yeah, that'd be good. And maybe share with us. So the next thing is, it was referenced last month. LAUSD actually is trying to bring green spaces to all schools, which I find kind of interesting in that 6th Avenue Elementary had come to UNNC with a nonprofit that anyway went nowhere because the timing was that they were asking for a whole bunch of money in June when we had zero money at that point to spend. But they wanted to essentially paint the campus green instead of actually planting anything. But anyway, LAUSD has now got, I'm going to I have a bunch of stuff to share, so I'm just going to do it one at a time, maybe in wrong order. But okay, so I subscribe to LAist, which is a digital news thing that's also run by NPR, or is now being supported by NPR after they ran out of money. So the school board promised, so I've been getting these emails that there's a reporter with NPR who's following, and there, our schools, we don't need to donate. Our schools don't have a whole lot of green space. So apparently in late September, LAUSD passed a proposal to make all of the school district campuses at least 30% green by 2035. But at the moment, only 107 out of 671 campuses meet the 30% threshold. And some schoolyards have less than 1% of green space. I did also download the green index. I'll share that in a moment. But the idea is to maybe make all campuses more like 24th Street, but even 24th Street's not perfect. There's a lot of areas. The 1 acre garden, but a lot of the campuses just asphalt, as we all have seen. And there's no trees. It's just asphalt. And supposedly going to prioritize the schools with the lowest green spaces, least access to green spaces, and in communities most affected by extreme heat and climate change. So those are two different things. Because I would think the Valley campuses would be the most affected by extreme heat. And I would also think South LA campuses and Central LA are most likely to have the lowest green spaces. I don't know how they're going to do that. And they're devoting $50 million to remove portable classrooms to create 2,000 square feet of naturally shaded spaces at 150 schools identified in the green index. Well, none of those schools are actually identified in the green index as to who's getting funding. So what I'm going to do is stop this share and then show you that. And again, all of this stuff is in our packet. So this is the document that comes up when you click on that green. So not so easy to navigate, right? It probably succeeded. And I was looking for campuses that are kind of near us or within our footprint. So the first one is this Hobart, you see it in red, Hobart Boulevard. And it says the park needs score very high at 4 or at 100. So I don't even know what that means, but the green space square feet on that campus is about 11,000, and the hardscape is 157,000. So it's, whatever that percentage is, 6.5% of the whole campus complex is green, and the rest of it is hardscape.
Who did this chart?
LAUSD itself.
Yeah.
I mean, they compile, I mean, how they did this, I don't know, but so I think this is in descending order, worst to best, right? But it says a combined weighted score, but then it says a combined rank. So I don't even know. And it's a rank of 84. So 6th Avenue Elementary, which is the one that came to UNNC asking for a project that wasn't actually planting trees and plants. They have 10,000, you can see it here, 10,198, 10,200 square feet of green, 123,000 square feet of hardscape. So that's very little green, which is 7.6% is green, and a ranking in 100. Again, I don't know if 100 is high or low because it's not really explaining. Magnolia Elementary is the one, Venice and Magnolia, I think, it's by Hoover. And near the, what am I trying to say? Near Alvarado Terrace and the Sherwin-Williams paint store if you ever have to buy paint. So again, it's a little better, 13,000 square feet of landscape, 154,000 square feet of not landscape, 7.8%. And I did not find all of our schools. And sorry about this. Pico, which is Arlington and Pico, is much better. Almost 39,000 square feet of landscape, 189,000 square feet of hardscape. There we go. So it's a green score of 17%. So it's better. So I guess these combined ranks are, as you get higher, it's better. And I'm looking more carefully at this. Anyways, in the link, I'm going to keep going, but it's in the link that's in the document that I put in the LAS article that I put in the packet. West Adams Prep, this is the high school at Washington and Vermont. So look at this, 103,000 square feet of green space, 270,000 of hardscape. But I will tell you that's a lot of playing fields. It's not trees. That's a lot of green grass. that are on the Vermont side and going toward the freeway. But it's showing 27% green space. So
So the green space is what they currently have as green space.
our fields,
Oh, okay.
playing fields.
I see.
But it's still, at least it's permeable, but there's no trees. You can't really put trees on a playing field. I think you
Yeah.
could have put trees on the edges of the playing field. You put trees on the on Vermont itself and on Washington itself, and I don't think they did. And sorry,
Does green space also include containerized plants?
I really don't know. I really don't know. And then here we have Cochrane Middle School. That's the one on Bronson and 17th-ish. And again, it's 130,000 in green space, 320,000 in hardscape, but a lot of that is playing fields. They've got soccer fields there. I shouldn't say but, because it's still not pavement. And the 29%, which is good. It's not tree. So they're not measuring trees versus anything else, is I guess I'm trying to say. I didn't find, I could look now, I didn't actually find, well, here's 24th Street. So they have 96,000 square feet of green space, 826,000 square feet of hardscape. So in the end, that's a 21% green space. So we know they have a 1 acre site for the garden, is that right? I think that's what they've told us. And but when we walk to and fro the garden, it's all hardscape. There's not really a lot of trees. Mid-city magnet.
I think, Laura, sorry, that I think that it's the 96 and then it's the 149. So their percentage is actually really high.
Right. It is very high. I just don't know if it's trees.
Right.
I'm trying to, in other words, two different things. So they're also trying to do shade. And I don't think they have a lot of shade. Because when we walk through everything to get to that garden, I'm not recalling walking past trees. So, but they have a lot. I wish they had, they really need to have more of, they have trees on the side towards the freeway. And really there could be more. Caltrans could put in more on the freeway side. Mid-City Magnets, that's the one at Arlington and Adams. And here comes Elizabeth. So it has a really good ratio. It's 46,000 square feet of green space and almost 60,000 square feet of hardscape, but that ratio is 43. In other words, the green is 43.5%. That's good. Kyle, is this?
Hi, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Been a busy week.
And what I was saying is I didn't find the one on Washington, that's Carson Gore. So it looks like I could probably just search for it and we can take this off the screen. Well, Elizabeth, what we're looking at is the LAUSD Green Index for their schools.
Wow.
So that one's not it.
When it says park need.
So do you think Carson SH would be Carson Gore? Okay, this is why I couldn't find it.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Down a ways. Down 15. It says Carson Gore Academy.
There it is. Okay. So perfect. So I'm not going to try and edit here to turn it to red, but I will later. So it has 26,000 square feet of green space, 83,000 square feet of hardscape, and the ratio is 20, I mean, not ratio, but the percentage of green is 24%. Yeah, again, they actually have an awful lot of pavement and it's not permeable. On the play area is not playing field, it's just a play area with pavement. So I find that a little ironic, but anyway. So can I take down this screen share?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes. Anyway, I live
Hi.
you could take over as our chair if you'd like. Where we are is talking about the school plan for greening things off. And so that chart was is a link that's in the agenda packet for the LAist article about this project that LAUSD is doing. So there's a link within that. And it wasn't so easy to find. And even though the school district has voted to do a project to green up the campuses, when you click on a different link to take you to that section, it has no information whatsoever about this initiative. So I'm wondering, are we too early to ask them to come and present for a future meeting? Anybody have a kid at LAUSD who has any insight at all? Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe the right answer is reach as best we can, reach out to our local, McKenna's office, who's our school district board member, and see if they have anyone who could come at the beginning of next year to talk about this. Because I really would like to know if our local schools, if our own local schools are on the list of targeted campuses.
What was that about the superintendent having to report by February? Something?
On this topic?
Hmm.
Well, we could reach out to the superintendent's office then. And bypass McKenna? Or reach out to both?
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Anybody have has anyone ever even tried talking to anybody over there?
No, they
No.
suck.
Okay, well, I will, because I need to talk to them about the trees we're going to plant by that campus anyway. So, the street trees. So Elizabeth, the next item, well, actually, this will be Charlie anyway. The next item is the next composting workshop. So Charlie, I know when it is. It's Saturday, December 10th, and it's at 10 o'clock. And apparently they're serving tea this time, or that we and they are serving tea this time. I saw on the web email today.
Compost tea?
I don't know. But
Maybe
did
we
they
can
say
add
when
our
you were
tea
there
leaves.
when you were there before it got rained out? Because
Yeah.
again, I arrived late. Did they talk in full about this next one?
They didn't actually mention anything. So, so I don't have anything to report, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I do know. I talked to Elizabeth because after you left and it was pouring rain, which we like. It wasn't pouring rain, but it was raining. So I stayed for the lunch, and it was like, oh, I didn't do anything, but I got lunch. But I also talked to Elizabeth Paul, and she said that they're starting the planning very early because they want us to do a lot more outreach to get more people. So what they sent out an email today that it says our next community garden day is Saturday, December 10th, 9 to 1. On this day, we're also hosting a hands-on, quote, garden tea and composting workshop at 10 a.m. in partnership with UNNC. And so that's what I don't know, in answer to Elizabeth, I don't know
I
if
think
garden tea
it's-
is
I
something
think it's
you
compost tea.
drink or something you make.
I think
For
it's
the
compost
garden.
tea. I think the wording suggests, I think that they're going to talk about how to make compost tea, which is a wonderful thing, actually.
What is compost tea?
You just take compost. I don't know how ripe it has to be or how finished it has to be, but you just put some of the compost in water. It turns brown, and then you strain it so that you just have this this amber liquid, and that's really healthy for your plants. So it's easier than digging it into the soil around the plant where it might burn it, but it's super healthy and you can put it on house plants. It doesn't smell bad. It's really great.
That makes
Okay.
so much more
So-
sense.
so
I
do
thought
you
you were gonna
think
say
we should
drink
be-
it.
Oh no,
I was like, ew, what?
it's so healthy.
Oh, God, then you
I
said
feel like
your
I could
plants,
see
and I
it
was
being like
oh
an
my
LA
God.
health trend.
It cleans
yeah,
you
like-
right out.
Well, what I was going to say is, do you think we should, since it's a little bit confusing in language, just go ahead and play with it and offer to also bring tea for us to consume?
Yeah,
first?
that's kind of fun. Yeah.
So it's
But
December 10th.
without telling the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, because we don't want to have to like get official to do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, or anyway, okay. So compost tea is for the garden and not for the human.
Garden tea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the last one was nice, even though it got rained out, because so again, I missed the last one. Shirley can tell us a little more about it. But they also had partnered for that the community garden day itself with Sprouts. So many of the volunteers were from the corporate Sprouts company, and
Oh.
Wow.
they also brought lunch. So that's the part you missed, Charlie, but they said I could and not volunteer. But I had a good reason because house in the character residential overlay zone, the neighbors spotted the delivery of 45 vinyl windows on a historic contributor. So I spent that couple of hours putting out that fire and working, trying to get someone, which I succeeded getting someone from the planning department out there on a Saturday, almost in the rain, to cut that down. But then when I went to the workshop, it was over. So what they taught about food, it was about worms this time.
They did. They talked about the same stuff they talked about last time briefly, and then there was a lot more. I think people were just more interested in the worm composting this time. So she did a lot of education about the worm composting and showed us the different levels. And it was just so like endearing because she's so like she just loves her worms so much. And like she just talks about how like she like had experimented with different things to make them more comfortable. And like there's all these layers. So like one layer is their food, but then there's another layer that's just their bedding. And then there's another layer, it was so sweet. But it made me really, but again, I also really wanted to do the backyard composting and that didn't go so well. So I'm not sure if I just don't have a composting or if maybe the worms would be a better choice, but
Try again.
I know, I'm sure it's just a lot of trial and error and I just need to keep on keeping on.
So and in this email today, it said that they're going to also show at this next workshop how to make your own compost storage container.
Oh.
So that's new
where
for
is
us.
this one? Where is the location?
It looks like it's actually, this one is at, it looks like it's at 24th Street. It's at the Community Garden Day. So I think that means the next one's at the Pico Union site, the next.
Okay.
And so that is what I think. So, and I don't know when workshops number 3 and 4 are, only to know it's after the holiday break. But they have asked us to do a lot of, try and do more social media and stuff on this one. So I'm going to get, and I see no reason why we can't post it to our personal stuff. I mean, I don't know that it has to be UNNC postings.
I'm
think.
so surprised that they haven't been more attended. I just think like, I don't know, I just think so many people are also wanting information about it. I know the last one with the rain, I feel like, but you know what was interesting too is that like a third, there's only maybe 6 people and the 2 of them were from the West Side, like, and were more affiliated with the Garden School Foundation. They had found out about it through their site.
Right.
So they were, which is great. They were, not, I'm
Well,
from the West Side
this is why
originally.
they're trying to plan in advance so we can start spreading the word. So
Yeah.
I'm going to clarify. I'm sure it really is compost tea for the garden, but I'm going to clarify just a couple of things, including things like, will there be refreshments? And
Refreshments are always, I feel like if we even just brought like coffee, I feel like people just like, I don't just really like coffee in the morning. I guess I really like coffee in the morning, but like I could bake something. I'd be happy to bake something.
so let me, Elizabeth Hall is not here tonight. So I'll reach out to her. Now, I don't know if she works tomorrow. Tomorrow's a holiday for some.
So this is happening December 10th?
Correct. So it's a month from today, but if we should start reaching out, and what I'm saying is, I see no reason once we figure out exactly what to say and get a cute image to go with it, why I couldn't put it on a West End Heritage, Facebook or her, on the next door that's my neighborhood. And, everybody can post. I see no reason why it has to be only UNNC posted. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Because we're the presenter, but it's not. It doesn't have to have the UNNC logo. Because what we really want are people there, and then we have our UNNC postcards there anyway at this point. I have to verify that because I did go actually very early and drop off our written material, and then left. And then didn't remember to take them back. So I'm hoping they're there. Okay, so that's
I think they got
10.
wet.
I will send everybody as soon as I talk to Elizabeth Hall and finalize it. I will create some sort of thing that could be posted in different ways. I'll create a Microsoft Word doc and attach some images, but anyone can do whatever they normally do with their own social media postings or direct emails to friends. There's nothing wrong with that, to invite people to it. Because I'd like it to be a success. I'd like us all in the community to learn how to do this. And I also really like spotlighting what's going on there at 24th Street School and with the Garden School Foundation. I think they really have a great, larger program than just this. Okay. All right.
What time does it happen? I was away for the last one. But
Oh, well, the event for the volunteering event, the Community Garden Day, is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., but the workshop is at 10 a.m. within that. So in other words, the Garden Day begins at 9 a.m., but the workshop begins at 10 a.m. It does say a hands-on garden tea and composting workshop. So I think we should be playing on those words and bringing some human consumable tea one way or another along with coffee. So
Unless it's like garden tea, like tea you can make from the garden, like
or
like-
it could be that. So let's just see exactly what they're talking about, because maybe it's not just a twofer but a threefer. What kind of tea can you make from your garden? That'll be fun. Okay. Or at least our postings could be, hey, what's garden tea? Is it tea you can make from the garden, or is it tea you make for your garden? Come find out. And maybe the answer could be both.
Look at you go. That's fun.
Okay. Even old people can come up with some ideas. Anyway, Christy, the next item is the one you asked about. So can you explain it? So, I changed it to simple sustainability reporting. Who do you call to report problems such as excess watering? But I know that that wasn't your full trigger.
Oh, no, my trigger was about the big pieces of black soot in my backyard that seemed to be blowing from somewhere. And I fear someone is burning stuff outside. I mean, these are, you know, they're, some of them as big around as a quarter. And they're all over my backyard and the backyard furniture. And I don't know where they come from. It's not anything that I'm doing. So it's obviously blowing from the west, but I found the number for the South Coast Air Quality District. They have a complaint line, and I'm going to call them up and ask them if there would be a complaint about something like that. But I honestly don't know how I would investigate where it's coming from unless I get a drone. I'll get a drone. I know where, but I mean, I don't know how we would discover where it's coming from.
Well, it would be good. Well, first of all, it'd be really nice if you posted into the chat the phone number you found. And, but yeah, it'd be interesting to know what it is.
Right.
Because my initial reaction is somebody's got a backyard incinerator.
Yeah.
But
you know, outside burning is like that in LA, of household waste or anything like that is forbidden in LA County. You found that on the website, so.
well, a lot of these houses, I mean, I know that my house used to have an incinerator. I mean, you know, I bought my house almost 40 years ago, and in my way backyard, big lot, I have the remnants of a greenhouse and the remnants of an incinerator. And I still have it because I've never quite figured out what quite to do with it. But because it wasn't ever really gardenable, because we had all the broken glass from the greenhouse in the soil. But I was also finding near where the incinerator was, whole bottles. And it was kind of cool. I have a few 100-year-old bottles that somebody had tried to incinerate and didn't succeed. But I think a lot of the houses had that, and you would put your leaves into it. So I wonder if you have a neighbor to your west who still has one of those and is using them.
This is a problem that I mean, I've noticed this happening. I've lived here for how many years? 20 something years, but I've only noticed this in the last year or so.
Yeah.
That it has become, or less than a year, maybe, I don't know.
Well, how would anybody's thoughts, almost Marius, I feel like you might know this. How would you analyze what the substance is? I mean, where would you take it? Or would South Coast even do that for you?
Maybe, I haven't called them yet. I found out about this number, so I will call them. They have both a regular number and then they have a complaint number.
Okay.
And
How is air quality overall there?
What do you mean?
How's the air quality?
same
It's
as
been pretty good. Yeah. I think it's been, the rain too helped a lot, but it's been better than it had. I mean, because I check a lot because of my little one. And it's so nice now it's on the weather app, it just pops up, which is really nice. But yeah, it's been pretty good. Like right now, the air quality is good. I feel like I've seen more days where it's listed as good than I have in a long time.
I think that's true. I've noticed that because we don't get much under 50 on my phone. It's right, moderate, but there have been a few days of good, and I was surprised.
Thank you. Just wondered.
So do you think the number, that entity is also, no, it's not. So the other response that I had for Christy was, if we're going to be reporting people, I mean, I don't know if we want to be reporting people for a lot of things, but the other thing that happens a lot in our community is people paint their houses without following all the lead rules. Meaning they just hire a painter, painters stand on a ladder, they sand and spray, and the lead goes into the air. And who do you call? Although I'm quite aware that what this committee's opinion is that we should model good behavior and not just turn into a reporting machine, right? And it was that that's what you wanted. But has anybody ever had this problem with a neighbor's lead dust flying through the air towards you? And when they
No, but I saw it while I was out walking the other day, and I noticed painters just, and I actually was kind of reluctant to walk by where they were sanding or doing whatever without contain.
what they're supposed to do is put up scaffolding, right? And then encapsulate the scaffolding in plastic. And then they're supposed to use, if they're sanding, HEPA sanders so that the dust goes into a bag. And then empty the HEPA sanders into something safe. And then use a HEPA vacuum to, get all the scraps up. But I mean, the issue is the dust in the air, and then also the paint chips falling into and dust falling into the soil. In which case, you don't want to grow vegetables. Right? So I will say that we had a painter at a house who was doing everything correctly. It still makes a mess, right? I mean, even when you do it right, it still isn't perfect. There's no way to make sanding perfect. And it was a windy day, and it was a Friday afternoon, and they cleaned up and left. So this was a couple of guys, and they left at 4 o'clock. And I was still there. My work partner was still there, and our contractor for a different purpose was there. And all of a sudden, LA County Health shows up because a neighbor had made a complaint. Luckily, there was nothing to see because it had whatever mess there was already cleaned up for the weekend. But so that's why I think we want to model good behavior instead of calling out the enforcement people on our neighbors, because we were suddenly like, oh my God, panicked. And in fact, the licensed contractor was hiding because he didn't want to be the person blamed, because he had nothing to do with it. He was there for a completely different reason, bidding a future project. But he just didn't want to even be around when this guy showed up. So I don't know. I mean,
the only
real
reason I
question,
would say to call though is because then you could at least get it to stop for the remainder of the project. And I think just reducing that lead in the air. I mean, we got our house painted recently and had a lead certified person do it, but he said, he was reassuring actually, because I was so worried about all the other people in the neighborhood who I know are not doing it with the lead certified people. And he said that lead is heavy. And it's sad because it falls to their house, but that it generally doesn't spread too much into the environment, next door. It'll spread into it'll fall into the soil of the home that's being worked on, and but the impact is mainly on the home that's being worked on.
So how did he do it? Because you have a big 2-story house.
Yeah, he did it with he has a special sander, because I guess you don't have to have that special sander if you do it a different way, but he has the special sander. And I guess his wait list now is crazy. And so the people across the street couldn't get him recently. We got it done a couple years ago, but the people across the street couldn't get him, and they bought the special sander for the painter that they ended up hiring, because it ended up being less than I don't know. The whole thing is kind of crazy.
No, I understand that, because we had ended up purchasing the same equipment for a different painter for a different project. But did you feel safe when this was being done? I mean, did they encase your house in plastic? Did you leave?
They did not encase the house in plastic. We did not leave. I was actually pregnant. But they were very, very, very reassuring. I mean, I was on them all the time. It's hard because I feel I obviously do when I'm pregnant. It's not the best time to do it, but then I also didn't want it to be done when she was, a baby and stuff. I think the people before us actually had de-leadified the whole house. So I think it actually was not a big issue. Like we just don't have layers and layers and layers of paint. So I don't know what they
So
did for us, but
which house, did you buy Ruth DeSouza's house?
no, we
No.
bought the house 2 down from hers. So
Got it.
ours was Laurent and I forget the names. It was a gay couple who had a young son. Anyway, but we never met them because they foreclosed on the house, but we get their mail sometimes. So
Right. Because I think Ruth had done because she was adopting or fostering and then adopting. So
Yeah.
I think she had already also de-leadified. I don't know if that's a word. But I think what this also brings up is, should we be creating sort of a list of places to make these reports to and then post it into the website, or is that the opposite of what we're trying to do as a committee? And I think Elizabeth has to sort of this is to you.
Me? You know, one element that we haven't talked about is educating people on how to watch your kids and everyday household practices to reduce any ingestion of lead. Because while some people have the money and the resources and the time to get rid of all the lead, and you're right, Charlie, when you say like the layers and layers and layers, it makes me think of my house, and nobody's ever gone down, to some level of non-lead. So I bet my walls have lead. And so educating people, and this goes to you, Davina, like renters of old buildings, right? Whose landlords are like, oh, there's no lead, or don't worry about lead, or that there are things to do, like washing the walls regularly, making sure. The best thing apparently is to have your kids wash their hands all the time, just regularly washing their hands. So meeting with parents, to me, that would be meaningful. Talking about,
yeah, like maybe just putting out information about it too, because I think people wouldn't realize, I feel like that didn't necessarily occur to us at first to get a lead certified painter, and they don't mention it. Like they don't, nobody's anyway. The only reason we realized is because we live on the block of the painter that did it. So, who's the lead certified guy. So,
Oh, was that Patrick?
yeah.
So if people are not gonna paint over or undo their paint or get lead certified painters, what can they do? What can normal people do? And mostly it is just to make sure that you and your kids don't touch the paint. That used to be a rule, I think in the 19th century. And I think it had to be because the paints on the walls were very expensive, and then they just rubbed off because because the manufacturing of paints was hard. So no matter what, if you got a rich color, it was going to come off on your hand. So the rule that matriarchs would say to their entire family is, don't you dare touch the walls. Nobody touches the walls. And I think that's a good idea, is just have this rule of let's not touch the walls. Why do we need to touch the walls? And then let's wash your hands. If before you eat, don't put your hands in your mouth before you wash them.
I think too, as long as you paint over it, I know that that's not an option for everybody, but even if you're renting and, just if there's any chipping paint, like it doesn't have to look nice, so you can just paint over the chipping paint to seal it. And then it, because it's the chips, I think that's the issue.
The kids eat. And
or like inhale or anything like that.
Yeah, well, the chips they're solid. It's the dust that people could inhale when you do particularly when you do an exterior job. I mean, so Patrick, the painter who's your neighbor, used to not sand, period. He would only use the heat gun. So, he may have updated his practice, but that was enormously expensive. If you were hiring him, you were tripling your cost. You were getting a great job because you were going down to barer wood so that you're not painting over already delaminating paint, because that's the other issue is if the original or second coat was lead 100 years ago, and now in modern times you're trying to use latex to paint over it, it's going to delaminate anyway, and it might pull some lead with it when it starts to peel. And I think that's what renters face, because they're inside an apartment that may have 90 years of paint, one layer over another over
Right.
another. So. Okay, but
Now I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh my God. I
but
think
you're
I'm
not
good,
planning
though.
to eat your paint, are
Yeah.
you?
No, and I don't really rub my walls or chip
Sure,
things
yeah.
either.
Yeah.
So I think I'll
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah. Hmm. But
Right.
in terms of a public service, to our neighbors, I mean, I think that some of those practices in people's minds. And then also talking about, when kids ingest lead, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't work through and, get exuded out your skin or anything. It stays, is my impression.
Do landlords have a responsibility to tell renters about lead paint in their units?
I think it's an enforcement issue. I mean, you could
Yeah.
say, you tell them to, but how do you?
Well, I will say that sellers of real estate versus landlords, there's definitely a required lead-based paint disclosure, but how most handle it, meaning, if I fill out a form for one of David's, transactions, I just look up the date of the property, because the question is for the seller to answer. But we fill out forms for sellers. Do you have any knowledge of lead paint or lead-based hazard in the house? So we always pre-fill it up with it. Sellers have no knowledge, but house was built in 1908.
Right, exactly. So there is
So
lead.
it's sort of a warning to a buyer, that this might happen. And sure, there's a handbook. FEMA has a lead, or EPA has a lead-based hazard 13-page brochure. One can pick it up at Sherwin-Williams or any paint store. You can get a box of these brochures. And now that we're having this conversation, I think we should pick up that one of those big, a bunch of them, and start taking them out to some of the UNNC events. Stick a little label that says UNNC Environmental Committee right on them. I mean, just like our Emergency Preparedness Committee is creating labels to have the UNNC logo and then the phrase, "Are you ready?" ? And then, our website. So maybe we should also think about making a little cute label and sticking them on that and maybe other brochures. So
I think pediatricians also have to ask everybody if you live they're supposed to ask every person, and if they live in a house that's built before, I think it was 1978.
Right. So in answer to your other question, the standard apartment association lease form, the new form, so created in 2020. So if a landlord is a member of AGLA, Apartment Association Greater Los Angeles, they use this lease. It does have a checkoff box for lead, and we, as landlords, we do provide that same brochure to a new tenant, in theory. But since everything is digital now, we'll send it to them, and they'll just sign the lease as if they got it. But we don't know that they read it. Different issue. I think so much paperwork flies in so many directions now, both for renters and buyers, that they're just saying, yeah, I'm reading it. So.
That link that I just put in the chat, I like it. I like it. Don't try to remove lead paint hazard yourself. If you see, there's if you are a tenant, notify your landlord or property manager of peeling or chipping paint in your home, and refer them to this website for information on free lead paint remediation services if eligible. So wash your toys, wash your hands, take your shoes off when you get in the door.
So should we write up a little article and post it on the website? If you're a
That's a
good writer.
great idea.
Because we can't post it, but you know, some of us have a little influence. We could get it, you know, they would agree to post. Okay, there's a lot of yawns going on in the room.
Mhm.
But but if we all like that idea, I think Elizabeth can probably in her copious free time.
Mhm.
But remember, you wanted to be a writer before you wanted to be a librarian.
Yeah.
But we could work up something to post on the website anyway
Okay.
about lead in particular, as opposed to my first question, which was, should we create a list of all the places you can report violations to? That's different.
Okay.
So a positive how to take care of your family about
Yep. Yep.
article
A
about
positive.
lead.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay. It's
yeah.
already after 9, so I know we're not getting through this whole thing. So the new business we can skip again. It was discussion regarding the condition of other trees on Washington Boulevard if time permits. So that's such a long conversation. Time is probably not going to permit. Agreed? Question?
Yeah.
Right.
And then misnumbered, darn. 7-8 and then 7-8 again. Yay. Follow up to previous stuff. So one was the follow-up on the Washington Boulevard tree planting project. And I'm so sorry, I've got nothing new to report. And then last but not least, Earth Day 2023 is on April 22nd. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day.
Wow.
It's also UNNC's election day. Just the
Mhm.
weirdness of the calendar. So what the elections committee, which is at the moment just Lizzie, Lauren Masato, and myself, but the idea always was to have some sort of adjacent to the election polling place an event. So given that they delivered unto us Earth Day, what we're thinking is we believe the election is at polling places Washington Irving Library. The city clerks keep saying yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. And we told her to stop saying but because we have to know in December. No, we have to know in December if that's the location, because if we're going to do some sort of adjacent event, wherever the location is, I've already talked to Council District 10, and the only way, to get a street closure, we have to tell them in December, because then they're on hiatus, and then we're cutting it closer, having the city council motion to get this passed. So the idea now is maybe big or small, but a tree giveaway and maybe some other things related to Earth Day, even though there'll be a million other events. So this committee, however, would really need to commit to hitting this event, being the people who are helping out on it. Lizzie will be inside the polling place because she is not running for re-election, but I haven't decided one way or the other. Probably running for re-election, but the point is, I can't, if I'm running for re-election, I can't leave the polling place anymore. So I only told committed to being the person handling the event part. So I just want to give you guys a heads up that I'm going to bug you. That's all. Anyway, so is there anything else that's old business? Because you're the chair, do you want to adjourn it?
Sure. So what I hear, and I'm sorry I missed the half of it, is that we are gonna, Laura, you and I are gonna write something about lead. So that about lead paint dangers and remediation, and we're gonna put that in. We're gonna give that to UNNC to edit and then post on the website. What other actions do we have going forward? We have some compost prep. going forward, right? Charlie? The
Right.
date
The-
and, okay,
I'm sorry about the phone ringing in the background, and I had turned up the ringer, so it's ringing. Okay. Yeah, so, getting something onto the website, we're suddenly having discussions about, new team of officers. So I'm no longer the person who can say yes or no to things, although
Okay.
Brent is still looking at me to say yes or no. So it's becoming a little, we need some
Oh, sure.
clarity. But yeah, it should not be hard for us to get an article up onto the
Okay.
website.
Okay. Do you have a new mayor now?
We don't
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to say. I have to call David back because he's calling me on both phones now.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's
So-
adjourn this meeting. It's very nice to see you guys. Nice to see your name, Marius. And then, so, all right. So we're adjourned, and next month, feel free, anybody. I think you have my email. Email me, call me anytime. Yep. It's going to be 20 degrees tonight.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Stay
But
warm.
Yeah. but, I'm inside. I'm staying cool. Yeah. Okay. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night.
Bye.
Right.
Hey, good night, Marius. Hey, hi.
Mhm.
Night, everybody. Okay. Thanks, Laura. Good night. Bye.